more defensive lane picks, but the scaling is there in droves for them as we do hit the rift for game number 1 of day 4 of the LJL. Should be a banger and a half. I think these teams are very close in level right now, Recollect. Very excited to see who can come out on top here.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is one positive here for the side of CGA, and that is the fact that they're the ones that have that priority early. They're the ones who are able to be proactive early on because they've got the Ahri, which will do fairly well into this cookie to start with. They've got that range support versus melee support matchup in the bottom side with the Karma Ezreal, so they should get prio there. And Kayle isn't exactly going to do much early either, so Kassin has the ability to essentially path wherever you want to. You can do whatever you want here in this early game, and Kassin is someone who, when given that much opportunity, can do a lot.
Yeah, as it looks like they're going for a bit of a cheeky fight here. That is the Abyssal Voyage, and it's already the flash going to come out from Nemo. The Ignite goes down onto Blank, going to have to backtrack it out. This is just like my solo queue games here, Recollect. This is a lot of cooldowns being traded early on, and now Kassin going for the chickens, going to get rooted up, but they're not going to contest him. They're going to give that camp over.
Yeah, I mean, CGA is the team that's just the stronger ones at level 1. You've got Ezreal Karma. You're never really going to lose that one out. Plus, with Senna starting the W, it means you're not going to have that AoE healing option as well. So it means that SGHG, they're the ones that are actually going to fall behind a little bit here, as Blank has to start that blue a little bit slower, does put you about half a camp speed behind, and creates a vertical jungling section. So this is a weird one where I actually think the Hawks aren't entirely unhappy, though, because you do get to protect your Kayle a little bit by setting up this vertical jungling, and it's quite hard to kill a Senna Tahm Kench lane, especially with the Ezreal Karma if you play safe. So it does mean that you are going to get poked to death under the tower, but the Hawks overall not going to be completely unhappy about this.
No, for sure. Getting those early Summoner Spell cooldowns off of Nemo does reduce some of the pressure you might be facing as you are the less prioritized bot lane in the early going. What I really like here was that was Blank being very aware, putting some of that long veterancy to use in his awareness, sneaking around a ward. As you point out, it's pretty obvious the vertical jungle situation is going to come out, but it was actually Kassin going from clearing the enemy chicken and red right into, looks like wolves, into his top side. So he might expect his red buff to still be there because their ward did not spot out Blank going in.
Yeah, I mean, even if you do end up making that mistake, you can also just path down afterwards, which I think is exactly what Kassin will do. And because the fact that Wukong has taken your top side, it actually means that those camps will respawn faster. So it means now that Kassin on second clear will be quite ahead of Blank, despite them doing similar camps. Because you can now do this crab, maybe invade, take away that Raptors, or you can move back to your own blue side, take a reset, and realistically your top side camps will start to be respawning in the near vicinity. So it looks super weird, and I think Blank will end up slightly ahead because of it. But in the long term, it's actually Kassin that will end up coming ahead in experience, especially when it comes to that key sort of level 5, level 6 mark.
Yeah, definitely so. We are just waiting, of course, though, for the big tools to force these fights to come back around. In the meanwhile, it is just going to be Blank licking the wounds and trying to catch back up. Thankfully, this is still 12-11, as we pointed out in the pregame, so we'll have some capability to hyper farm and try and catch back up to that XP differential that you do mention between himself and Kassin. But no jungle impact onto the lanes as of yet, but maybe some impact from Ezreal down onto Reyna, going to get some nice poke down onto the TK, but it's such a oppressive sustain lane when you pair up this Catfish with the center, Recollect.
Yeah, I think the biggest factor in this lane is the fact that Thick Skin is just so useful, right? You've got that Tongue Lash heal, but you've also got just the Thick Skin regenning. So even though you are getting poked out, a lot of that becoming shield and then becoming HP back if you don't pop it, means that poking a TK out of lane now is honestly harder than it used to be. It used to just be a case if you picked melee lane versus Karma, you just cried, but Senna Sustain plus Tahm is just enough to make it playable. As Blank trying to make it more than playable here in the bot side is looking for it, I think it's going to be hard to find.
Yeah, they had the wave control in droves, did Crest Gaming. Weren't going to allow that wave to get pushed back out, as that poke is actually really deadly coming through onto Marble. Does pull back into safety's range, but definitely a juicy target here for an early dive. They have the vision of Kassin coming through. These tier 1 turrets are a lot tougher. These dives could be very dangerous.
Yeah, it's teleport on the Tahm Kench, so there's no exhaust available here to drop some of that damage. Kaito also roaming down. They might wait on their mid laner, but the wave isn't big enough to do that, so it feels as though, at the very least, the Hawks are going to get one more wave, and at this point, Marble has had some time to heal up thanks to those Qs.
Yeah, that is the Senna healing. Once Blank sort of made the presence aware to Kassin, said, no, it's all right, guys. We'll go. We'll take the Drake. We'll start stacking these objectives up. So a very nice early game from Crest Gaming here. I'm sure Middlecott is very happy at home watching this one, as we do see that Ocean Drake go on over. Nice little pickup for them.
Yeah, what's also worth noting, take a look at that bot lane CS. It's already a reasonable advantage here being accrued for the side of CGA, and this Ezreal, if given a free lane, can also scale into a monster too. Let's be honest with you, 2 to 3 items, it's all Ezreal in this game. There's no one who can really match the champion in terms of that spike, and CGA, when they do hit that point, their champs are online. You've got the Engage of On, you've got Ari with that Everfrost coming through, same with Ezreal and his damage items, and Karma, utility-wise, comes pretty much to its strongest spot. So look at that mid game. It's going to be disgustingly strong here for CGA, and they're already powering into it with this Sheen buy.
Yeah, that they are. Early power for the Ezreal will mean so much once that next Drake does hit the Rift in 4 minutes. If they can continue pushing these waves with the efficacy they've shown so far, absolutely not afraid to get down and dirty right up to the opposing turret. And now they're even going to pick up a little Scuttle Crab treat for Hybrid as well.
Yeah, just munch on that one a little bit to add to that CS, inflate it a little bit more. As the wave is still pushing back, you're not going to lose much for it. And I like the attempt here from Blank as well on the top side. Wasn't quite able to find that one, but now going to path towards that bot side. It's one of those cases of when you don't have anything to do, you have no reason not to try and go for a gank, because all your camps are on reset anyway. You're on what I'd effectively call dead time, which means that you've got nothing. There's no reason for you to be doing anything on the map. So I like the attempt. Nothing came of it. Just go back, get your red buff, clear bot to top again. Maybe you do the same thing in a couple minutes.
Yeah, no harm, no foul when there's no camps to be picking up. Not really effectively falling behind an XP in that case. Instead, going to look for the opportunities to make this very aggressive Wukong pick that we've seen do so well in the early goings of the LJL pop off. Now gets back to the camps, but we do see some heavy trading in the bot lane. Going into the Shroud is Marble, chunked out to about half, but no all-in angle does exist, so things will just be continuing to play out as a tug of war for wave state, and the shove does get completed.
Yeah, and whilst the CS isn't increasing, that's always going to benefit the side of the SoftBank Hawks, because you've got that Senna constantly stacking the souls, constantly gaining some form of advantage back for the team. So unless Hybrid and Nemo can start to push a little bit harder and get something from it, well, they might not get a chance to.
Yeah, Blank sat and absorbed the XP until he got that Cyclone, but it won't result in the kill. Was just a hair's breadth away from that level 6 mark. Did find it. Used the priority they had generated in that shove to get where there was no vision. Unfortunately, it doesn't get you anything but the flash in that situation. We'll have to try again in that 5-minute window.
Yeah, love the attempt there. Just not quite possible. It's one of those where the Tam Kitch isn't providing the best engage, so it is all Wukong, and because of that, you are likely just going to get that flash trade unless you can get the follow-up with the Senna W, but unfortunately, not going to land that one just yet. But really good stuff here from the Fukuoka SoftBank HAWKS. They usually are a team that the early game isn't the best in the world, and I think Marble and Reina have struggled a little bit over the course of the season, but at least now they're starting to show some, a little bit more control, shall we say, in their own matchups.
For sure. I mean, Marble in general, right, was this very heralded Academy player coming up from, I believe, the V3 system last year, where it was an undefeated Academy squad. Was expected to do a lot more in spring. Sort of fell on the face in the attempt. Didn't quite get the reception that we wanted for Marble, so it would be nice to see that growth coming in along summer, but we have Kassin and Blank. They're going to not quite tango around the blue buff. Blank doesn't want any part of it. Orn's here. Just have to slink off to the wolves.
Yeah, and crucially, Kinatu was chunked earlier. Using that Spellbook Ignite just for that poke damage means that you can't really roam now as the KO because you're hard losing as soon as the ulti gets channeled from the Orn. Engage bot line, though.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm not going to connect on the Abyssal Voyage, and when it's missed, it is the free tether, but look at Nemo getting rooted up. Does use that Q to dissuade Marble from walking up for another taste, another soul proc. Just what we've come to expect, right, from the LJL 2022 summer so far. It's 10 minutes and not a whole lot of meaningful action. We've seen some cooldowns exchange, but no big economic breakpoints really achieved for either squad yet.
Yeah, nothing really coming out that you would really like to see from either side, but CGA are the ones that, whilst they do have the advantage, you'd like them to push a little bit more, because the gold is actually going in the Hawks' favor now. Despite the champions being a little bit better for CGA on these current items, it feels a little bit awkward. And with Dasher picking up that package, you feel like the first fight could be around this dragon, but I don't think CGA really wants to fight it just yet.
Yeah, it will depend, of course, on how good the setup can be. The Windrake is on the Rift, and there are some pinks in the vicinity, as we do see the package used by Dasher there. I'm not quite sure what the motivation was, except maybe to get the mid-prio for Drake. Kassin's there. He's just chilling.
Doesn't seem like the best play, because now I think CGA have the green light to just get the dragon. It feels as though, like, Corki without package versus Corki with package is a massive difference. I understand potentially they're worried about Essence Reaver here on the Ezreal. Potentially they don't want to fight that, but I still think that Corki with package is enough to realistically zone out Kaito and create a 4v3 situation in that river. But maybe it was picked up a little bit too early. Maybe there's just a mistake there. But Dasher, that's... I mean, following the namesake, I guess, just dashing in.
Yeah, using... How could we expect the Dasher not to dash? It's like asking the cage bird not to sing. It does speak to something we've seen with the SoftBank HAWKS, who we expected to be a much better team over the course of spring and so far in summer, which is that at times they just seem a little bit scattered. You pick up the package as Dasher, and the expectation is there's going to be a Drake fight. You're going to make a run for it. And instead, not really any commitment from the squad as a whole. It does make you wonder what the situation is in the comms there. But now we have Kassin coming on in. It's going to be the Devour from Reyna out onto Marble. And once again, the action is effectively dissuaded here.
Yeah, welcome to Senna Tam Kench, the lane where no one ever dies unless they make horrible errors. And yeah, that didn't happen this time around. It's just going to be that Herald dropped in the bottom lane. But at the very least, as I say, you do get the Heralds, you do get the plates, you do get first tower gold. So even though the play isn't 100% effective as you might want it to be, it doesn't need to be. You still get what you want out of it. The only bad part here is that obviously Corki is now hitting mid tower, so good usage of the ulti there from Marble in order to delay Kaito's reset, as you can't really go back to mid with no mana.
Yeah, it is more or less an equal game state in terms of gold, but those Drakes piling up for Crest Gaming Act here. They also are not too far off from those ornaments, recollect. Level 10, we're going to start seeing those come in just a few levels. Definitely feels like that scaling train is about to hit the station at any moment.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. And given the fact that item-wise they are starting to hit major breakpoints. I mean, it's first item here for Viego, Divine Sundra. You've got second about to come through here for Hybrid on the Ezreal, because Ezreal items are way too cheap, let's be honest. That is, it's kind of ridiculous that he's just always ahead of everyone every game, considering that Senna is a lethality user too. So it's a champion that realistically builds pretty well too. Obviously, not going to get as much because you are farming the souls more than you're farming the minions. Yeah, exactly. It ain't Ramadan, but we're still fasting here on the Senna. But, you know, it is one of those. However, on top of that, the Everfrost here for the Ahri coming through. It's really some strong aspects. However, once Corki ends up getting those two items, fully completes his stacks, that's when I start to get a bit more worried for CGA.
Yeah, inshallah, the package gets used a little bit smarter next time around, but it will be up to Dasher to find a lot of this poke damage and does get some down onto Kaito. One thing I think is also really important to note with Hybrid on this Ezreal, not only are the items cheap, CGA plays around Hybrid so heavily. It's just how they've always done it. I mean, this season we've seen Nap start to shine in the other solo lane, the other side lane as well, but picking up scuttle crabs, getting crab dinners on behalf of his jungler. You know, Hybrid just has so much access to currency on the map. Definitely going to be an economic superstar for Crest Gaming Act.
Yeah, I also think it's worth noting that it's very hard to actually find access onto the Ezreal with the comp that SHG have drafted for themselves. I mean, who is the one that's able to engage onto him? It's pretty much all Corki with package, or it's all Wukong. There is no one else who can really find anything, because Tam Kench W is the slowest spell in human history. So you actually just can't hit this thing unless the other team disconnects their monitors or they're already CC'd. And I guess disconnecting your monitor is basically a blind, right? So I guess it works out. Either way, there's nothing really that you can do as the Tam Kench offensively into a champion like Ezreal. So it's really dependent on that initial engage coming here from Blank and just a general slow reaction from Hybrid. And because of that, giving this gold over, making sure that your Ezreal is up 40 CS as Hybrid and Nemo has done such a good job of in this bot lane, it creates a lot of problems here for the Hawks later on.
Absolutely. We see Marble getting absolutely chunked by the aggressive arcane shift forward from Hybrid. It does speak to as Reyna's going to pop that unsealed spellbook ghost. Just flexing a little bit, just trying to scare Hybrid off. You don't want to make the aggressive move in this lane state, but I was a bit surprised here, recollect, that Camille that was hovered in draft wasn't taken by the SoftBank HAWKS. Would have given them a winning lane to play through, and it would have given them even more dive threat into the backline. That Hextech ultimatum could have been the tool you speak to really lock down Ezreal and keep him from flashing and blinking away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the argument that's being made is things like, don't worry, guys, we can use ulti to, like, peel our backline, or we can use it to assist the Wukong dive, but it's like, Wukong just becomes kind of a dead champion now after 15 to 20 minutes, which is where we're at right about now, because finding access onto an Ahri Ezreal is basically impossible for them, whilst actually being significant, because if you dive in onto either of those two, one, good luck finding access to begin with, two, even if you do, you're going to die, because no one can help or follow up, so it's a really awkward pivot, I think, and I wonder how much of this is just what I'd call copy greed, where you just see other people playing this and you go, oh, it must be the best thing in every situation, so let's just play it without thinking about the context of when it's being picked or when it shouldn't be picked. And luckily for SHG,
is doing work.
Yeah, you've still got the poke, you've still got the package to zone, so the Hawks kind of get away with whatever they want in this situation, and Dasher could just package straight across them and just not care.
Yeah, and there's the package used just to sort of find the counterplay on the mid lane Herald. It's not even going to take this mid lane tier 1 here, so nicely done by the SoftBank HAWKS. Dasher quietly been farming up a Storm and puts that early Leandries plus completed Manamune to good work, waiting for that to stack on up into the more mana where those rockets will get even more obnoxious. But Dasher chunking out multiple members, forcing them to make the Herald play instead of contesting that third Drake.
And this is where the Corki bailout might come to fruition, right? Because this champion can do so much if you can't get onto them. And CGA, engaging him
Marble. He's going to get gobbled up and spit away there, so he does live. But man, oh man, that Senna's in a scary spot if Tahm Kench is ever anywhere except for right next to her.
I was going to say, I don't think that's a kill. I figure we'll watch it anyway, but it's one of those where Senna Tahm Kench is just so safe, right? The ability to stop any autos coming through thanks to the E, as well as the movement speed, as well as the Devour, etc., etc. There's just so much ability to get out of harm's way. And I think this is a really interesting pickup here for Marble and Reyna as well. As I said, struggled a little bit in general, but has gotten better as a duo. But if you are worried and you just want to play through Dasher, who arguably has been the best player for them this split, this can essentially act as a kind of buffer where you just say, yeah, we're bad, but can you kill us? I don't think you can. Like that's kind of what this is kind of what this bot lane does. It's just best of luck. You can't do anything.
And you know what? That is exciting League of Legends right there. We love to see the AD carry become unkillable. Oh, it's wonderful. Speaking of loving the LJL, here's something that I've noticed, Recollect. It's not just a bug that tortures us in the amateur scene any longer. We have a Hextech Rift, we have a Hextech Soul Drake, but does the replay tool of this Tier 1 professional League of Legends league reflect that? No, they have the same bugs we do. Ignore that upper left corner of the screen, folks. It's not a Wind Drake hitting the Rift in 2 minutes and 50 seconds. It's a Hextech Drake. Welcome to our world, as this mid lane Tier 1 does finally fall down.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is a combination of a small indie company with only 200 hours of experience, right? So it makes sense that there's still a couple of bugs in there, and it is what it is, right? But moving away from bugs, as we got no Kazakhs in this game, Viego and Wukong both quietly farming to this one too. Both relevant now, getting those Divine Sunderers, and it is at the point now where they can both essentially one-shot backlines. The problem is, for both of them, is that finding enough damage that they can do so easily without trading their lives is very difficult, right? I think of Viego as a kind of reset-based champion, right? You do a bunch of work first, and then he comes in as your end game and just cleans up the fight afterwards. It's very difficult, I think, to do something like that against this Hawks composition because you have so much defensively to keep them alive. They've got the Senna Tahm Kench, obviously, both able to play at long ranges, as well as the peel that comes innately from having TK. You've got Corki with the Valkyrie. You've got the Divine judgment, as well as just this Kale keeping your whole team alive as well with the heals and the ulti. So it's very difficult, I think, to pilot this Viego as we go later and later. So my eyes are actually on Kaito. I want to see this Ahri, who hasn't really done a lot just yet, as that sort of mid-game counter pick, to be more aggressive and show why you feel so comfortable to draft this champion as your sort of big final trump card.
Yeah, we do see the dance around this tier 1. Dasher eating a whole lot of poke, trying to defend this structure, and it will be defended, but here comes Hybrid, so aggressive to land that True Shot Barrage right in Blank's face. No fear. This 2-item Ezreal with the Tiamat pumping out so much damage.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming through there. It was just a faster rotation as well from CGA, so they're able to move through that topside jungle, take that 4 versus 2 situation, and just get themselves that tower pretty freely. So excellent stuff from them. Love that little macro adjustment, and it shows that they at least have an idea of how they want to push the tempo. Problem is, we're 21 minutes in, and it's only a 1.5k gold advantage. It's not really where you want it to be at this point.
This is true, but we do have the effective gold advantage of our very first ornament coming through.
Hey!
That is going to be the Frozen Fist upgrade for Nap in the top lane, playing that super tank fighter, mage, assassin, what have you. And it is going to be a nice little collection of summoner spells there with the exhaust and the TP right ahead of this Hextech Drake, the Soul Point Drake for CGA on the Rift. We will see how he puts it to use. Going to be building up a storm on something else there as well. Looks like Magic Resist. How fun.
Yeah, crucially, by the way, Cookie isn't here just yet, but did just pick up the package, so Teleport will need to be channeled. However, you've got to remember just how effective Dasher can be in a situation. Drake going low.
Yeah, that's going to be the knockup for Nap, but here comes Dasher with the package and the Dawning Shadow over the top. It's going to be so effective now, the Cyclone follow-up and the Divine Intervention on top of it. They just don't run out of tools here, do SoftBank HAWKS, as they pick up the first blood, and another kill now onto the Viego. They might not have picked up the Drake for themselves, but they do finally win our first fight of the game at 22 minutes, and they're trying to parlay this right into Baron, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, you get Soul Point, but if the Baron goes down, you have to wonder how much that's going to matter for the rest of the game. It does create the potential of stealing the Soul, but look at how quick they do it. Look at the poke. There's nothing you can do to even contest this. It's just going to be the Baron over to the Hawks here, unless Hybrid's got anything to do.
No, I don't think the Ezreal has anything to say about that. It would have been heroic in the extreme if Hybrid had found that steal there. But the SoftBank HAWKS, just a little too quick on the uptake. The positioning was good as we do get this replay here on the Drake fight.
Yeah, a part of me wonders why Dasher didn't go straight away, but did delay it, left the 50-50 on the table, and Viego gets in. It gets low, but it's not enough. Stopwatch over the top with the package burning. But after that, Blank's got more than enough here to act as that front line to be the engager, and the chase down comes through. There's not a lot that can be done, but that big one is going to erupt through all the members, pick up another kill, crucially onto the jungler, and from there, it's a 2-for-0 easy pickup there of the Baron.
Indeed, indeed. And now they will put this Baron to use, pressuring these objectives. Going to crack open a nice mid lane tier 1 for themselves to mirror that which they have lost. Going to hover 4 members around this mid lane here while the Kale is off in the side lane. And this is a well and truly realized Kale here, recollect. It's a Kraken Slayer coming in. Can anybody stop Kanatu on the side lane here?
Oh, it's very, very difficult, especially with the team now being able to set up that vision towards that bottom side. You're able to hover between both of the lanes as you want to do so, and it means that the rotation is always going to be slightly faster here from the Hawks. Nice chunk here from Hybrid. Definitely still does damage, 3 items on that Ezreal, but at the moment, it's just so difficult to find the right angles.
Yeah, that's going to be so much damage down onto Nemo, but they're trying to punish Dasher for it. Kassin going to land the stun, but forced to turn tail and walk away. But now Nap's calling the Forge God, going to find a double knockup, but it was just a clone and his monkey pal. Nothing doing off the back of that ultimate. CGA sort of feeling like they're floundering at this point.
Yeah, the biggest issue with that is we're now a minute away from the Baron expiring, and that means that realistically, with the Call of the Forged God on cooldown, you don't have another major engage tool that you can really utilize as CGA. It means that here for the Hawks, they can sort of just reset, maybe take that top outer tower play for the economy Baron, which is kind of what they've been doing so far. But we don't really care about those inner towers or the inhibitors. We just want whatever standing gold is available, and from there, you're going to gain enough of a gold advantage that this next fight is very, very difficult. And on the subject of difficult, how about someone who's difficult to kill? Dasher picking up that GA. Maybe not the item that a lot of people would be expecting, but in this game, finding access to the core key at this point is everything. And when you've got a KL ulti as well as a GA, very hard to do.
Yeah, it's like getting traveler's insurance, right? It's not the exciting move, but it's the one that makes sense. Going to give Dasher a second life in these team fights, as they will now take the turret lead here by picking up the last of the tier 1s, well and truly encroaching into what was once CGA territory. Their map control should be pretty deadly moving forward. One thing that really speaks to me about this comp, too, as we're hitting this 25-minute mark, is with Marble picking up souls like nobody's business on the fasting center, they have so much range to play with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is the biggest aspect of the Hawks, and kind of why Viego is going to become so much harder to play as the game goes on, and it's just the fact that you cannot effectively touch this composition if your name is not Ezreal. And that's a really, really big deal, because if you can't access this core key, the ults are going to hurt. If you can't access Mabel, the autos are going to hurt. If you can't stop the other team from essentially keeping you at standstill, the game just gets worse and worse via a war of attrition, because Senna TK is going to keep the other team alive from engages, but also sustain up thanks to those Qs.
35 seconds to go here on the Hextech Drake. It would be the Soul Drake for CGA if they can sneak it away. I have to ask you, will it be enough if they can manage to pick up that Drake, even if it entails heavy losses in the trade?
I mean, if it entails heavy losses at this point, I think the game could just be over here from the Hawks. Big thing, though, is the package has not been picked up here for Dasher. They don't have that massive cooldown this time around, which could be the fight winner. However, trying to base for it now will TP. I think that means you could be a little bit slow, unfortunately, though. So maybe CGA gets an angle to burn this. Maybe this is a misplay here from the Hawks.
Yeah, we see Dasher picking that one up right as the Drake hits the rift. Here we go. They're right on to the Hextech Dragon.
Look at the
putting
flank.
the damage down, but look at that flank TP. It's going to be so nasty from Dasher. Now here comes the call. The Forge God to try and dissuade them for just a while. The Dawning Shadow over the top, and Nemo already dead! And now it's going to be the Ornn to follow suit. Dasher gigantic on this Corgi, denying the soul, winning the fight. Fukuoka SoftBank HAWKS Gaming looking absolutely transcendent right now, but Hybrid has something to say about it. Going one-on-one, mano-a-mano with the TK and going to pick it up for Kassin. Blank not going to want to face tank all that damage, going to turn and run, but look at his team pushing the base.
Yeah, the gift from hell there from Dasher just burns the entirety for their health bars, rips through the entirety of that fight, and Nap gets isolated on the front. No one can step past it with fear of just being roasted alive. There's nothing that can be done, and for me, I thought this was a bit slow. I thought it was late. I thought CJ might be able to burn it down, but they're apprehensive. They're worried. They don't know where Dasher is, and they over-respect, and because of that, they can't burn the dragon down. Nap looks for an engage, but unfortunately, burn. There goes the thrusters. Someone's been watching a little bit of Maverick because Dasher runs in, and at that point, Nap's got nothing to do. What can you do as the Ornn when your whole team is miles away? It's easy pickings here for the side of the Hawks.
Yeah, they are well and truly in control now, picking up that second Hextech Drake, picking up a decisive team fight win. 6K is the gold advantage with the second Baron of the map soon to spawn. Supers barreling down that mid lane should give them all the room they need to set up for that Nasher.
Yeah, it's just one of those now where everything is looking comfortable here for the Hawks. You know, there is always that possibility of a steal. There is always that opportunity here with what CGA have, though. They can look for the ulti engages here with the Spirit Rush. Maybe you can get something off that, but Dasher does so much damage!
Yeah, the aggressive Valkyrie forward just to make sure that poke lands. Nap getting half health by Kanatu right in his face as well. All confidence coming from the Hawks, and you can see exactly why here. I mean, what do they have to be afraid of at this point?
I mean, absolutely. And remember, Dasher still has that GA available. There's still a Tom Kitch. There's still center ulti over the top. There's still KO. There's so many tools. I mean, we didn't really identify it before, but this is the Dasher comp. This is all eggs in that mid lane basket, and the Corki is showing up huge.
Yeah, another aggressive Valkyrie into 3 members. No fear with the team right there to back him up. Dasher just absolutely chatting out in this match. Going to be working towards that Void Staff as well to absolutely melt through any and all magic resist that might have been picked up. And this should be the angle to start this Nasher. The only thing I can think of here, Recollect, and you pointed out before, it's all up to Ezreal at this point, and CJ have been in that position many times where they've counted on Hybrid. It's going to start with a nice True Shot barrage, but they can just turn blank going forward, but the Vessel Voyage doesn't connect, and now it might be the Wukong caught out, but look at that nice combination of ultimates to keep Marble going in the back half. Dasher as well, still not had that Guardian Angel proc. They will trade the Kale, but Dasher can reload on these bullets and try again, but look at the deep angle for Hybrid all the way around the horn. Here comes Nap, doesn't find the knockup, but Marble will be caught out. Are they actually doing this? You've got to be kidding me. Dasher, he's stuck. Where can he go? Oh my goodness, that's just going to be the GA popped, and you are in a wrong spot as this Corki, going to be picked up by Hybrid. I can't believe it. Just as I didn't caster curse him, just as I was saying, here he comes. That's what he does.
I mean, they find the angle somehow. I just don't know how there's anything there for the side of the Hawks, like, losing this one. But CJ, they find something from absolutely nowhere. I mean, just look at the way that this starts off, by the way. Dasher just chunks Kaito for half their health before the fight even breaks out. But the Baron is already getting blank fairly low. It feels like maybe there's something that can be done, and Hybrid just goes madman, avoids the Rhino engage, and the Orn Horn is everything from this point on. 2 dead almost immediately, and it's just Marble chunked so much that you can't do anything. It's all Kinatu, all Dasher, but the charm hits. They find their inconsistent engage. It's all that they've been looking for the whole game, and finally it comes out. And from here, what are you going to do? Yes, the knockup misses. Doesn't matter. It's completely meaningless at this point, because Dasher, the GA is great, but if you're already the last one left, there's nothing that can be done to follow it. And suddenly, it feels like CGA, they've managed to find the flip that they were looking for on the coin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really at a loss for words, as Rhino just going to get absolutely eliminated. Was interrupted in the midst of the escape attempt, and look at this Baron push right in time to secure themselves a Soul Drake as well. Crest Gaming Act absolutely getting away with murder, but Hybrid played the last fight so well, shifting away just as Blank tried to find the engage angle. I mean, how many times can they go to this playbook and get away with it? They should get this soul here, unless SoftBank HAWKS pull out some extreme heroics.
Yeah, Blank has a chance, though.
Oh, he finds the steal! Right in and out!
Package.
He takes the clone over the wall!
Yeah, and Corki TP'd in for this as well. I was wondering whether Dasher might try something on the back half, but the steal comes through. Well, I won't lie to you, I kind of thought that was just going to be the Dragon donation, but they don't go for it. They risk the 4v5 situation, and Blank just walks up, jumps the wall, smites that one away, and that makes up for a couple of games in the past. Blank might not have been having the best of those 50-50s as of late, but finds it this time around, and it's just a case of no one on CJ playing zone control. Nemo realizes at the end, but no one else has moved, and at that point, Blank is already way too close, gets that clutch smite on very, very low HP.
That was absolutely wild coming on through from the Monkey King there for Blank. And now this game has gone from 0 to 100 in the course of about 10 minutes. And it's really wild. Could go either way at this point. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's still completely even in gold here, Recollect, as it was every other time we've checked in. What is happening here?
Yeah, it's a very strange one to watch. There's definitely misplays from both sides, but I think the most interesting thing is that the gold looks even. And you go, but ornaments, that means that red side is ahead. But then you go, Corki versus Ari and souls, and it's like actually even because of these facts. So it's a weird one where the Hawks technically have infinite scaling, and that makes them outscale. But as far as relevant scaling, the game isn't blowing up one way or the other. However, the carries just blew up from that Ezreal ulti.
Yeah, Hybrid pumping out the damage, going for the Sinning Ezreal build and making it look good with this Duskblade of Drakthar. Ornament upgrade coming in as well, absolutely chunking out various members. Things looking pretty good for CJ off the back of that push. Didn't quite crack the base, but they can pick up a consolation prize by rolling back, choking out the resources, going Scorched Earth, and picking up the camps on the reset.
Yeah, unfortunately for the side of CGA, they have some poke, but it's not enough to really poke out under tower, right? Unless these Ezreal ults are chunking everyone as well as a lot of Mystic shots, it's quite difficult to do so. So until one of these two teams takes that Baron, you have to feel like any objectives really being secured isn't that likely. So we're going to enter a bit of a lull state now for a moment, where both of these teams allowing their carries to sort of suction up as much farm as possible. Marble and Dash are wanting to get a little bit more of that into their back pockets. Same obviously going to Kaito and Hybrid, and I feel like Hybrid has to just put those carry pants on. It's been a really impressive performance on this Ezreal, finding those angles and playing with such aggression and trust in their own mechanics. I've loved watching it, specifically that Baron fight earlier, right? But you have to wonder how much they can do in these situations. How much more can Hybrid possibly find to bail out this team?
The eternal question of Crest Gaming Act fans, I assure you, as we will be seeing, as you said, the weight, the setup, as these objectives aren't on the Rift quite yet, moving into enemy territory. Are Crest Gaming to get this vision down, eyeing up a tier 2 for themselves, a nice little gold pinata of about a half K available there, even going to be committing the TP from Hybrid, looking for it. Dasher, though, has the GA back up, and this poke still as deadly as ever.
Yeah, the poke is not going away. The Corki happily scaling into it, and again, it is just that poke battle, right? Between the Ezreal and the Corki. Senna's in there a little bit too now with the amount of souls that you've got, but it feels like Corki is just winning that one pretty consistently. But Dasher very low on those rockets. A fight isn't ideal here.
Yeah, they're actually going to force the Shirelias out of the opposing side, our SoftBank HAWKS, but they could be the ones to get engaged on as the Forge God is called, but they're not ready to commit to a fight to the death, are either of these teams, it feels like, with no objectives on the map quite yet to secure off the back half. They're going to say, no, guys, it's okay, let's do this again in 45 seconds.
I might need to see an optician, because I'm pretty sure that Ezreal almost one-shot Senna with R, and then R1 from Ornn. That was ridiculous damage output here from Marble. If you can find anything onto these carries, it's just one-shot central.
Yeah, but Blank failing to find the engage onto the Ezreal again, gets chunked to half. They do find some damage to the SoftBank HAWKS, but look at Kaito now. Blank in the backline with the Divine Intervention, going to find the kills. They might have finally done it. Reyna goes so tanky with the thick skin. Sin going to be picked off. Marble picking that one up. It's going to be the 2-for-0. Hybrid whiffing in return as well. That ultimate will find no target. 2 seconds to Baron on the map. It couldn't have been more perfectly timed.
Yeah, it was the big question. Can Blank find any backline access? And this time round, makes it happen with the Cyclone. The flash has to be invested. But with that Kale ulti help, it is enough to secure a lot of... Oh, no.
Marble! No! Hybrid just absolutely playing him for the fool, making the full use of that Ezreal range. At least takes one Baron off the map, but that is going to be the Nasher going over to HAWKS. Can they close out with it here?
I mean, just like their namesake, Marble gets absolutely rolled there. I mean, ridiculous stuff there for Hybrid. The damage is there, but there's no one to help. And with that electric-looking Cloud Dragon secured here for the side of the SoftBank HAWKS, they've got themselves that soul. And let's be honest, a little bit of ability haste definitely going to help out here for that Corki, for the Senna. A little bit of that shock factor, I think, going to be added as well when those rockets now start to hit. So definitely feeling good if you are the Hawks. However, that mid tower did just end up dropping for the minions alone, and gonna get to see this one back. And credit to Blank here, utilizing the Hex Gates for that engage, and Hybrid just gets caught a little bit. Good shift at the start, and Blank just goes, you know what? Let's just get in there. Go on. Oh, Flash, get on the backline, and Nemo just gets absolutely obliterated. There's no turnaround because the follow-up from the long-range abilities here from the center ulti as well as the Kale ult. So the follow-up is there.
Kanatu going forward aggressively, but going to pay for it. You have to feel, as that is going to be the Ahri taken off the map. Kanatu as well having the stopwatch to go into, and the flash available to get out of dodge. So that is the 1-for-1 jungler for mid laner here. Interestingly enough, it's Crest Gaming feeling comfortable to continue the push. No Baron, no Soul, no problem. They got Hybrid. What do you got, SoftBank HAWKS? Well, they got a big one. That's what they've got. And now it's Crest Gaming Act's turn to run away.
Yes, they do in fact have a big one that you have to be scared of if you're not careful, as the Hawks end up unleashing it all over at CGA. Very scary stuff here for Crest Gaming Act.
What's happening, Recollect? Here comes Reyna trying to take the deep angle. Sin with the GA, not going to be afraid of just the support, but it's the flank that makes the difference, as this should be the victory. Reyna finds one, doesn't quite find the knock-up on Hybrid, who still wants to kite it out, but he's gotten chunked so massively. True Shot Barrage doesn't connect. This is the Baron wave marching up that bottom lane. Hybrid going to have to make a last stand. The healing off the Ravenous Hydra might be enough, but going to make the stand at the base gate at the very least here.
Yeah, TK finding that kill at the end, lickety split there for Reyna. It's a little awkward here for the Hawks, so they've got to wait for this wave. No one actually going back to Baron buff it up is a bit strange, I won't lie to you. I think someone should do that just to speed it up a little bit, speed up the process, because now obviously you are delaying the potential of actually hitting this tower, because Baron creeps will obviously push a little bit faster. It does now mean as well that Nap is going to be up in time to defend at those Nexus towers, maybe defend at that second inhib too. So a little bit awkward here for the side of the Hawks, but I don't think it'll matter too much, as they can reset with their reasonable gold advantage that they've started to accrue for themselves.
Yeah, they crack open that base with a plum. They take 2 lanes worth of inhibitors here. I do want to point out here, it's the boots getting sold up for Hybrid to purchase a Cosmic Drive instead. Going full CDR, got to opt into an item that'll give them a nice amount of movement speed to make up for the sold boots as well. I mean, this guy's doing everything he can here, Recollect.
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the worst feelings in the game, though, when you go from walking to absolutely no movement whatsoever. So Hybrid is sacrificing a bit of that safety, and a part of me wonders how much that might actually help to enable this Wukong, because obviously Blank has been struggling a little bit to find access onto Hybrid. Has only found it the one time so far, and when it did happen, obviously fantastic, worked out really well for them. However, has been quite quiet because of that, and maybe this now enables that limited engage potential here for the Hawks to come to fruition a little bit more. However, obviously, you are sacrificing that in exchange for a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's the last stand, the desperate escalation from Hybrid. There's only one more way to increase that effective damage output, and it's to sell those boots. We'll have to see if he can make it worth it. I mean, the wave clear is still here from CGA, but SoftBank Hawks have all the time in the world to play as 5 on this wave, but here comes Blank getting chunked out off the back of the failed engage. Will get spit out to safety by the TK, though. Can they punish the Catfish? No, they're the ones who are going to get punished. Our Crest Gaming Act by these rockets flying willy-nilly. Kaito taken down to a quarter health, and they just can't do anything except slink off to this mid lane while Kanatu stays up here pushing in again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit of an awkward one here. I like the attempt here from Kaito, but Reyna just in the right spot, right? This Tahm Kench is there as that big bailout option if things go bad, and Blank gets caught out a little bit. Doesn't matter too much, though, because that Devour is such a fantastic team safety net. You know, it really does help a lot that they gave it that extra movement speed when you eat someone, that obviously the massive shield too. It means that if you can get in range, realistically, whoever Tahm Kench eats never dies afterwards. It's very hard to then pop them. However, getting popped might be Hybrid.
Yeah, Hybrid in the one-on-one fracas with Blank winning that one actually straight up after switching to this Trinity Force. Kassin, though, might have gone a bit too deep to try and find the follow-up. The GA's popped, but it was SoftBank Hawks who had to back off a little bit. So the GA doing its job there. It's the 1-for-0 so far. Hybrid at that point of the game where they can just switch up the items they're playing with. Paid off big time there. The extra mobility of the movement speed on hit, allowing the repositioning, allowing the chase down. I mean, we're through the looking glass here, Recollect. We're hitting 45 minutes. I'm not even sure who's favored at this point anymore.
Well, I think the biggest problem there is that Blank didn't have the Cyclone up. There was no ulti to use there in order to try and turn that around, as Kinatu now just going onto the Baron. They have no jungler. Kassin's in the area. Why are they doing this?
Yeah, I mean, Kassin, can he find the steal? No, he can't. It's the full attack damage Kale, which I take my issues with, but I digress. The take speed there with Senna, Kale, Corki going to be so absolutely massive. They sneak that one right under Crest Gaming Act's noses, and now they're bringing in the Baron TP. Look at this. It was the Elder play coming out. They just have to stop the backs to Crest Gaming to allow Kanatu to end here. It's going to be channeled by Nap. Dasher, as you point out, has the package Marble from behind. They're not backing. Look at Kale. She's on to the Nexus turrets. What can they do about it? They do pick up the Elder. Can Nap find the kill with it? The GA is available. They'll just find the end. What was this game? Divine Intervention coming through. The Nexus going down. Fukuoka SoftBank HAWKS Gaming picking up the win here.
I mean, if